Ever heard the saying, "Don't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm"? It's a powerful reminder connected to ancient Stoic wisdom about the importance of balancing kindness with self-care. Yet in today's rush to be seen as good, to always be the one who gives, many have twisted the noble act of kindness into a self-destructive habit. We are often told to go above and beyond, to push our limits for the sake of others. But at what cost? The truth is, too much kindness, when it drains your own resources, energy, and well-being, is not a virtue but a path to ruin. Many have lost their way, giving so much of themselves that they're left feeling empty, unappreciated, and burned out. It's a modern-day tragedy where the best of intentions lead to the worst of outcomes. Stoicism shows us another way, a way to be generous without losing oneself, a way to be kind, but also kind to oneself. It teaches us the art of balanced generosity, ensuring our actions enrich others' lives while also safeguarding our own well-being. In this video, we'll unveil how Stoic principles can help you set healthy boundaries so your kindness becomes a source of strength, not depletion. We'll explore how to give, live without losing, love without hurting, and be there for others without disappearing from our own lives. Stay with us as we navigate the fine line between generosity and self-preservation, guided by the wisdom of Stoicism. 1. Don't set yourself on fire to warm others. Too much kindness can become a trap, one that Marcus Aurelius, a wise Stoic philosopher, would caution us against. Imagine yourself as someone who always rushes to help others, never saying no. It's like giving out pieces of yourself until there's nothing left. You become the person who's always there for others. But when you look around, you find yourself standing alone in your time of need. It's not just about being kind. It's about being kind to yourself as well. Marcus would remind us that our first duty is to our own well-being. Without it, we can't genuinely be there for others. Consider the story of two neighboring gardeners, one who meticulously cared for their own garden and another who, despite having their own plot, frequently tended to everyone else's gardens. The diligent gardener, understanding the importance of self-care, nurtured their garden with the right balance of attention and resources, resulting in a vibrant and flourishing space. This gardener's plot was not only a source of personal joy, but also provided surplus produce to share with neighbors. On the other hand, the disproportionately giving gardener spent so much time and effort on others' gardens that their own plot became neglected. Without proper care, their garden wilted, and the yields were meager. In their quest to be helpful, they overlooked their own needs, leaving their garden, and metaphorically themselves, depleted. Let this be a reminder to reflect before diving headfirst into helping others. Ask yourself, is this help sustainable? Am I preserving my well-being? The ancient Stoics would encourage us to practice Stoicism by setting healthy boundaries and ensuring that in our quest to be kind, we do not forget to be kind to ourselves. After all, you can't pour from an empty cup. In Stoicism, the aim is to maintain your inner peace and integrity while contributing positively to the lives of others, ensuring a balanced and fulfilling life for both you and those you wish to help. 2. Reciprocity has an expiration date. Generosity is a virtue that enriches our lives and those around us, yet it harbors a subtle trap when done without moderation. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy still echoing wisdom in our modern hustle, teaches us a critical lesson about the limits of kindness. Offering help with an open heart is noble, but expecting the same measure of generosity in return can lead us down a path of disappointment. Life has a way of showing us that the good we do today might not be remembered tomorrow. This isn't a reflection of our worth or the value of our deeds, but a natural drift of human memory and gratitude. Consider the act of giving as planting a tree. You nurture it, hoping it will grow and perhaps one day offer shade or fruit. But nature has its course. Storms, droughts, and seasons change. Similarly, when we extend kindness, we must detach from the expectation of a direct return. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, advise us to focus on our actions, not their outcomes. Some things are within our control, and some things are not, he stated, reminding us that the joy of giving should come from the act itself, not from the anticipation of repayment. Embracing this mindset shields us from the sting of unmet expectations. It teaches us emotional resilience, allowing us to continue being kind and generous without feeling depleted or taken advantage of. This doesn't mean we should harden our hearts, but rather that we should find balance. Recognize the impact of your kindness as a reflection of your character, not a transaction. By doing so, we not only protect our peace of mind, but also cultivate a form of generosity that is pure, self-sustaining, and genuinely fulfilling. This Stoic principle encourages us to give freely but wisely, ensuring our kindness enriches us regardless of how the world responds. In your daily interactions, how can you apply the Stoic principle of giving without expectation? Think about a specific scenario where you can offer kindness or support without seeking anything in return, and consider the practical steps you might take to ensure your generosity remains a source of personal fulfillment rather than depletion. 3. Received requests have no limits. Reflecting on history, it's fascinating to observe the extreme services royalty demanded, from dressing to personal hygiene, all performed by attendants. Fast forward to today, and it's clear that people still have expectations of us, often asking for favors they could easily handle themselves. Stoicism shines a light on this, teaching us the value of setting boundaries and embracing moderation. This ancient philosophy serves as a beacon, guiding us through the sea of endless requests, enabling us to act with intention and preserve our emotional well-being. Stoicism isn't about denying help, but about finding balance, ensuring we don't lose ourselves while supporting others. Take, for instance, the poignant tale of a mother and her adult daughter in a quaint town. The mother, out of love, cared for her daughter to the point of preventing her from embracing her responsibilities. This dynamic continued until the mother's untimely demise, which surprisingly catalyzed the daughter's independence. This story underlines a crucial lesson. While our intentions may be pure, excessive support can inadvertently stifle growth. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, encapsulated this wisdom in his Meditations. A man's job is to stand upright, not to be kept upright by others. This insight urges us to encourage self-reliance, fostering a balance that benefits everyone involved. Seneca, with his profound insights into human connections, observed, "He who begins to be your friend because of the benefit will also cease because of the benefit." This serves as a powerful reminder to nurture relationships based on genuine connections rather than transactional interactions. True friendship and support should not hinge on what we can offer, but on mutual respect and understanding. Stoicism teaches us to value ourselves not for what we can give, but for who we are, cultivating self-esteem and authentic connections. Stoicism empowers us to embrace moderation, setting boundaries to protect our well-being while still extending genuine support to others. By prioritizing our responsibilities and honoring our needs, we not only preserve our authenticity, but also engage in more meaningful acts of generosity. This balanced approach to life and relationships ensures that we remain true to ourselves and our values, leading a life of virtue and fulfillment. As we navigate the demands of modern life, let us remember that being mindful of our own needs is not selfishness, but a necessary act of self-care. 4. Being seen and treated as fragile. Stoicism teaches us a powerful lesson about inner resilience and self-command. It's about building a fortress within, honing the art of self-restraint, and drawing clear lines in the sand that define our personal space. Over time, constantly bending over backward for others can ironically lead to being perceived as weak. Without firm boundaries, we become exposed, easily exploited by those who see our generosity not as a strength, but as an opening to take advantage. This cycle of overextension and exploitation drains us, leaving us feeling undervalued and overburdened. Yet, the moment we start to assertively say no, a shift occurs. We're no longer the go-to for every request or demand. This assertiveness broadcasts a newfound respect for ourselves, signaling to others that we value our time and energy, warranting their respect in return. Cicero, a luminary in the Stoic philosophy, encapsulated this when he asserted, "What you think of yourself is much more important than what others think of you." By setting boundaries and exercising self-discipline, we not only protect our mental and emotional well-being, but also command respect from those around us. Remember, the power of no is transformative. It's a declaration of self-worth and a testament to the respect you demand from the world. Embrace this mantra and watch as it reshapes the dynamics of your relationships, fostering a mutual respect grounded in dignity and self-value. However, embodying this change isn't without its challenges. Being universally available often attracts those seeking aid, sidelining you when the time for celebration comes. It's a harsh reality where your open-heartedness might lead to exclusion from moments of joy, confined to the role of the helper, absent in times of leisure. This realization, though bitter, serves as a litmus test for discerning genuine connections from opportunistic ones. It's a Stoic exercise in recognizing the true value of relationships, encouraging a mindful approach to whom we offer our time and energy. Did you know that the practice of setting boundaries, a core Stoic principle, not only improves our personal well-being, but also enhances the quality of our relationships? It's a curious but true aspect of human psychology. When we respect ourselves enough to say no, we often gain the respect of others. This paradoxical effect highlights the transformative power of self-respect and the importance of discernment in our connections. By embracing Stoic wisdom, we not only protect ourselves from burnout, but also cultivate relationships that are truly enriching and reciprocal. If you have learned anything of value so far, leave a thumbs up to show your support. Now let's discuss strategies to avoid being used by others and to avoid the dangers of too much kindness. First strategy, eliminate the fear of saying no. Reflect deeply on why the word no often feels so heavy, tracing its weight back to early lessons that equated niceness with acceptance. Such lessons, deeply ingrained during our formative years, come laced with a fear of rejection, shaping a belief system that equates our worth with perpetual accommodation. Yet, the philosophy of Stoicism invites us to challenge and reject these ingrained notions, advocating for a life of deliberate choice rather than one led by the undercurrents of past conditioning. As adults, we wield the autonomy to redefine our interactions, recognizing that the fears instilled in us as children no longer hold sway. Through the lens of Stoicism, we're equipped with the mental tools to analyze our emotions, allowing us to respond to life's demands with thoughtfulness rather than being puppeteered by past habits. Asserting boundaries by saying no, especially when requests encroach upon our well-being or sense of fairness, becomes not just an act of defiance against outdated fears, but a profound exercise in self-respect and autonomy. However, it's crucial to balance our newfound assertiveness with empathy and emotional intelligence. Stoicism doesn't merely advocate for self-interest or isolation, but stresses the importance of contributing positively to our community and the lives of those around us. The philosophy encourages us to find a middle ground where we can offer help and support to others without compromising our well-being. This is where emotional intelligence comes into play, allowing us to discern when and how to help in a manner that is both beneficial to others and sustainable for us. Recognizing the genuine needs of others while also being mindful of our own limits is a testament to true Stoic wisdom. It ensures that our acts of kindness are not only acts of self-discipline, but also of compassion and understanding, fostering a society where mutual respect and support thrive. Second strategy, pay attention to your feelings. Embracing Stoicism nudges us toward introspection and mindfulness, guiding us to scrutinize our thoughts and emotions, fostering mental resilience. This ancient wisdom encourages us to become custodians of our inner peace by observing our reactions and feelings, especially in acts of generosity. It teaches us that true fulfillment in assisting others should elevate us, akin to the buoyancy of clouds. Conversely, feelings of exhaustion, irritation, or exploitation signal a need to recalibrate. It's essential to recognize when our contributions, though not obligatory, begin to erode our serenity. Acknowledging this discomfort is not self-deception, but a courageous act of self-care, ensuring that our benevolence remains a source of joy rather than a drain on our spirit. Third strategy, see yourself as a priority. It's easy to become a maestro in the most obscure fields, yet completely overlook our own well-being. Echoing the Stoic virtues of discipline and self-esteem, carving out moments for self-care is non-negotiable. Stoicism, after all, nurtures the soul, teaching us the art of self-preservation. So, sidestep self-neglect, nurture your physical, emotional and mental health. Acknowledge your presence. Elevate your needs. This approach demands your full commitment. Embrace your entirety. Forgive your past missteps, and view the unfolding year as a canvas for Stoic renewal. Select an endeavor solely for your pleasure, honoring this time as a testament to self-love. Uphold your boundaries without guilt in declining others if demands encroach on your sanctuary. Offer assistance within your constraints, underscoring that your personal revival takes precedence. Fourth strategy, identify the takers. Embracing Stoic virtues like self-discipline and discernment empowers us to distinguish relationships that enrich us from those that deplete our spirit. Engaging with individuals who perpetually demand more, be it in terms of attention, time, or resources, mirrors a dynamic where we, The nurturers are left exhausted, our energies sapped by the insatiable. Stoicism teaches us the value of inner fortitude, reminding us that change is a door only one can unlock for oneself. Believing we can transform others through sheer goodwill is a fallacy. True transformation is a personal journey ignited by individual willpower, not external interventions. This philosophy doesn't advocate for cold-heartedness, but champions a balanced approach to relationships. It's a dance of give and take where excessive generosity can leave us barren, while stinginess isolates us. Stoicism encourages us to harness our capacity for kindness and generosity, yet also to wield the sword of discernment, cutting ties when necessary for our well-being. It's about finding equilibrium, ensuring our acts of kindness are not at the expense of our own vitality. Remember, the strongest relationships are those where both parties grow, not where one wilts so the other can bloom. Stoicism invites us to strike a balance, compelling us to carefully evaluate our actions and their impacts. It emphasizes the importance of maintaining equilibrium in our generosity, urging us not to exhaust our resources to the detriment of our primary objective, living a fulfilling life. Conversely, it warns against being overly cautious in our giving, suggesting instead that we use our generosity wisely. Seneca, a luminary of Stoic thought, captures this ethos perfectly. Kindness is a treasure. A benefit should be kept like a buried treasure, to be unearthed only in case of necessity. His words encourage us to be prepared to act benevolently towards others, acknowledging the deep bond that connects all humans. What resonated with you most in today's discussion? Let us know in the comments. If this message was valuable to you and you're curious to learn more about how Stoicism can enhance your life, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support is crucial in helping us share knowledge and continue creating content that resonates with you. Together, let's build a community of curious minds eager to learn and grow. Have you ever felt like your kindness has become a quiet prison? Like every yes you say to others slowly becomes a no to yourself. Seneca once wrote, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." Sometimes, being nice isn't compassion, it's fear. Fear of conflict, fear of being seen as selfish, fear of being alone. You stay available, agreeable, even when it drains you. But here's the quiet truth. When you stop giving to those who only take, you don't lose people. You reveal them, their silence, their distance, their coldness. It's not punishment, it's proof. Proof that your presence was never truly valued, only used. In Stoicism, we're taught to align our actions with virtue, not validation. So what happens when you finally choose peace over people-pleasing? When you stop being nice? Not out of anger, but out of clarity. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming free. Stay with me because the final insight in this video isn't just philosophy. It might be the emotional shift you've needed all along. Number 1, they show their true colors. What really happens when you stop being overly nice to the wrong people? People, especially those who have grown far too comfortable taking your kindness for granted. You know the kind. They praise you when you're always available, always agreeable, always ready to say yes to them. Your selflessness is convenient. But the moment you draw a line, when you finally say no, when you begin protecting your peace instead of pleasing everyone, their tone changes. The smile fades, the compliments grow cold, and slowly their true character begins to surface. Here is a hard Stoic truth. The moment you set boundaries, the mask slips. People who once called you a good friend might guilt trip you. They might criticize you or act like you've betrayed them. But what they're really upset about is this: they can no longer benefit from your silence, your time, or your endless compliance. As Epictetus said, if telling the truth makes someone angry, they never valued the truth to begin with. Likewise, if someone only respects you when you're bending over backward for them, they never truly respected you at all. They were loyal to your usefulness, not your essence. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Clara. In her circle, she was known as the reliable one. Need a ride to the airport? Ask Clara. Need someone to cover your shift? Plan the event. Stay late? Show up early? Clara always said yes, even when it cost her time, energy, sleep, or peace of mind. She wore her kindness like armor, hoping it would shield her from conflict or rejection. But one day, she hit a quiet breaking point, not with anger, but with clarity. She began saying no without guilt. She stopped over-explaining herself. She turned down last-minute favors that always seemed urgent for others, but left her drained. And then the shift happened. Some people respected her more, but others went cold. One friend accused her of changing. Another stopped speaking to her entirely. At first, Clara felt guilt. She wondered, am I being selfish? But over time, the fog lifted and she saw the truth. They weren't upset because she had changed. They were upset because she had stopped playing the role they needed her to play. So how do you deal with this? First, don't ignore the shift. Their reaction is revealing. When someone responds to your boundary with anger, distance, or manipulation, they're not showing you something new. They're finally showing you something real. That discomfort, it's information. Pay attention. Second, stand firm. Just because someone's upset doesn't mean you've done something wrong. In fact, their discomfort is often the cost of your growth. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to live in alignment with your values. And finally, be grateful for the clarity. When people reveal their true nature, take it as a gift, not a loss. Because in letting go of those who only stayed for your compliance, you make space for those who respect your boundaries as much as your kindness. Being kind doesn't mean being a doormat. The wrong people will see your boundaries as rejection. The right people will see them as self-respect. So, when you stop being nice to the wrong people, you don't lose connection. You lose the illusion. And that's not the end. It's the beginning of peace, of truth, of you choosing yourself without apology. Number 2, they lose power over you. Let's talk about what really happens when you stop being overly nice to the wrong people, especially those who quietly fed off your need to please. When you're always agreeable, constantly accommodating, and endlessly putting others before yourself, you may think you're being kind, but what you're really doing is handing over control. You let their moods dictate your responses. Their expectations shape your decisions. Their approval becomes your compass, and without realizing it, you become a character in someone else's script. But the moment you stop playing that role, when you stop catering to their ego, stop apologizing for having needs, and stop bending just to keep the peace, something powerful happens. They lose control. Here is the Stoic truth. Your constant niceness wasn't just generosity, it was permission. Permission for others to occupy your space without respect, to drain your energy without consequence, to mold your silence into submission. But the moment you begin choosing yourself, not with anger but with clarity, they feel it, because now they can't steer your emotions like before. They can't guilt you into yes or shame you into silence. And for people who rely on control to feel secure, that shift is terrifying. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In other words, true freedom begins the moment you stop needing others to approve of your life. Because when your choices come from inner principle instead of outer pressure, no one can hold power over you. Let me share a story. A man I know, let's call him Daniel, used to be the textbook nice guy at work. He'd always cover extra shifts, never complain, never ask for credit. At home, he'd sacrifice his time, his rest, even his dreams just to keep everyone happy. He wasn't living, he was surviving under the weight of everyone else's expectations. Why? Because he thought that saying yes was the path to peace. But peace bought through self-erasure isn't peace at all. It's quiet submission. One day, Daniel decided to shift. He didn't become angry. He became honest. He started saying no calmly, respectfully, without long explanations. He stopped apologizing for taking space, for choosing differently, for being unavailable, and people noticed. A co-worker snapped, "You're not as helpful as you used to be." A family member said, "You've changed." But Daniel didn't flinch because he finally understood he hadn't changed. He had returned to himself, and as the guilt faded, a new feeling took its place. Freedom. He felt lighter, more focused, no longer chained to the emotional strings others used to pull. So how do you handle it when people start losing their grip on you? Simple. Stop explaining your strength. Own it. Let them feel the discomfort of your boundaries. It's not your job to ease their reaction to your growth. As Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and freedom begins the moment you stop shrinking to fit someone else's comfort. When you stop being nice to the wrong people, they lose access to the version of you that kept them comfortable, and you gain access to the version of you that was waiting to breathe. That isn't selfish, it's sovereignty. Now, number 3, your mental clarity returns. One of the most underrated benefits of no longer being overly nice to the wrong people is this: your mind begins to quiet. Not just a momentary relief, but a deep, lasting stillness, the kind that lets you see things for what they truly are. When you're constantly trying to please people who take more than they give, your inner world becomes noisy. You're always second-guessing. Did I say the wrong thing? Should I have said yes? Are they mad at me? That kind of thinking becomes a fog, subtle but suffocating, and often you don't even realize how heavy it's gotten until it begins to lift. Here's the Stoic truth. When you're too busy managing other people's emotions, you lose touch with your own. You start making choices out of fear. Fear of upsetting someone, fear of rejection, fear of being called selfish, and slowly, without noticing, you begin to trade your clarity for their comfort. But the moment you step back, when you stop over-apologizing, over-explaining, and overthinking, you begin to see again. You return to yourself. Seneca once wrote, "If you wish to be happy, Eliminate the things which disturb your peace. It's not complexity that clouds your mind. It's excess. Excess worry, excess guilt, excess people-pleasing. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Natalie. She was the one everyone relied on. Need a last-minute favor? Call Natalie. Going through a crisis, Natalie will stay up all night listening. She gave her time, her energy, even her sleep, all in the name of kindness. But deep down, Natalie wasn't okay. She was anxious, scattered, constantly carrying a mental checklist of who she might have disappointed. At night, her mind replayed every conversation, analyzing whether she had said or done the right thing. It wasn't compassion that was driving her. It was fear of being seen as unkind, fear of losing people. But one day, something shifted. She didn't get angry. She got clear. She began setting gentle boundaries. She stopped replying instantly to every message. She allowed herself to pause, to rest, to not be available all the time, and slowly her thoughts began to settle. Her priorities sharpened. For the first time in years, she felt like her mind belonged to her again. So how do you protect your mental clarity? Start by stepping away from the people who blur it. You don't owe unlimited access to those who misuse it. Then practice silence. Not everything needs a reaction. Not every opinion needs a response. And most importantly, turn inward. Ask yourself, what do I need right now? Then honor that answer. Marcus Aurelius taught that we are disturbed not by events, but by our judgments about them. When you stop judging yourself through the lens of everyone else's needs, your mind clears. You remember who you are beneath the noise. At the end of the day, being overly nice to the wrong people doesn't just wear down your energy, it robs you of your clarity. But the moment you stop, not truly stop, you reclaim something far more valuable than approval, your inner stillness. And in that stillness, you finally hear the one voice that matters most, your own. Number 4, you gain self-respect. There's a powerful shift that happens when you stop being overly nice to the wrong people. Something deeper than just setting boundaries or distancing yourself from toxicity. What truly changes is your relationship with the person in the mirror. You begin to gain self-respect. People-pleasing isn't just about being kind. It's about constantly silencing your own needs to keep others comfortable. You lower your voice so others can speak louder. You say yes when your heart is screaming no, just to avoid tension. But beneath that surface of harmony lies something painful. You're abandoning yourself. And every time you do, your self-worth slowly erodes. Here is the truth. Choosing peace over people-pleasing is one of the most self-respecting things you can do. Because peace isn't about avoiding conflict with others. It's about avoiding conflict within. It's protecting your inner space from being trampled by expectations that were never yours to carry. The moment you stop saying yes to things that don't align with your values, a quiet shift begins. You start seeing yourself with clearer eyes. You no longer question whether you're worthy of rest, respect, or boundaries. You begin to honor your limits like they matter, because they do. As Epictetus once said, respect yourself enough to walk away from anything that no longer serves you, be it a person, a habit, or a belief. That includes conversations that drain you, relationships that deplete you, and roles you were never meant to play. Self-respect isn't arrogance. It's alignment. It's understanding that your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being are not up for negotiation. And the more you respect yourself, the less tolerance you'll have for those who don't. Let me tell you about a man named Adam. For years, Adam was everyone's fixer, the reliable one. At work, he picked up the slack. In his family, he was the peacekeeper. Every "don't worry, I've got it" came at a personal cost. Lost sleep, sacrificed goals, mounting resentment. But he kept going because being the nice guy had become part of his identity. Then one day, Adam hit a quiet realization. Very few people showed up for him the way he showed up for them. That truth was heavy, but it was also freeing. He began making different choices, saying no with calm certainty, leaving messages unread when he needed rest, setting limits without guilt. Sure, some people didn't like it. A co-worker called him less helpful. A relative said you've changed. But deep down, Adam knew they were right. He had changed. He was finally standing up, not against others, but for himself. So, how do you build this kind of self-respect? First, stop apologizing for having needs. You're not an inconvenience. You're a human being. Second, make decisions that reflect your values, not just other people's comfort. And third, celebrate your growth, even when others don't. Because at the end of the day, when you stop being overly nice to the wrong people, you don't just create distance, you create depth, a deeper connection to your own worth. You stop shrinking, you stop settling, and slowly you start standing. And in that space, quiet, firm and free, your self-respect begins to grow. Not loud, not flashy, but steady, unshakable. Number 5, they try to manipulate you back. When you stop being overly nice to the wrong people, especially those who quietly fed off your silence, your compliance, your need to keep the peace. Don't expect a quiet goodbye. Some people don't walk away. They reach back, not out of love, but out of control. The moment you begin to pull away, to set firm boundaries, to say no without guilt, something unsettling happens. They start to shift, not in a way that reflects growth, but in a way that reveals their desperation to restore the comfort they had at your expense. Suddenly, you'll hear phrases like, "You've changed," or "I guess you don't care anymore." Now they're the victim, painting your boundary as a betrayal. Their discomfort isn't about you being unkind. It's about them losing the version of you that made their life easier. Sometimes it's more subtle. They soften their tone. They appear reflective. They say things like, "I've been thinking," or "I just want things to be like before." And for a moment, it might feel like progress. But when you look closely, nothing fundamental has shifted. The patterns are the same. The apology lacks weight. What you're seeing isn't transformation, it's strategy. Because here's the hard truth. They're not sorry they crossed your boundaries. They're sorry they no longer benefit from them. When you create distance, you don't just change the relationship. You expose the foundation it was built on. People who truly care will respect the space you need, but those who relied on your silence as a tool of control will panic. They'll push harder not because they miss your company, but because they miss the influence they had over you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The closer one is to truth, the more falsehood resists," and that couldn't be more relevant here. When you start living in alignment with your truth, when you stop over-explaining, when you choose peace over performance, when you say no and mean it, Those who thrived in your self-denial will resist, not because you've become unkind, but because your clarity has disrupted their illusion of control. I once knew someone named Claire. For years, she had a friend who leaned on her for emotional support, constant validation, and one-sided loyalty. When Claire needed something in return, that friend vanished. But Claire said nothing. She didn't want to upset the balance, until one day she quietly stepped back. No drama, no accusations, just distance. And that's when it began. The guilt-tripping. I guess our friendship meant nothing then. The charm. I miss us, let's grab coffee. But Claire had changed, not emotionally, but philosophically. She had stopped confusing guilt with loyalty. She saw clearly now. It wasn't about missing her. It was about maintaining the dynamic that served them. And she didn't go back. So how do you respond when someone tries to manipulate you back into the role they once cast you in? You stay grounded. Their discomfort isn't a sign that you're wrong. It's proof that your boundary is working. You resist the urge to over-explain, because the more you justify your decision, the more ammunition you hand them to twist your truth. And most importantly, you learn to trust the discomfort. As the Stoics taught, resistance often reveals the path to growth, not away from it. At the end of the day, when you stop being nice to the wrong people, they will react, but their panic is not your responsibility. It's simply the unraveling of a script you've chosen to stop performing. And that's not cruelty. That's freedom. Number 6. You create space for genuine people. One of the most unexpected gifts of walking away from the wrong people is the quiet space they leave behind. At first, that space may feel like emptiness. Doubt creeps in, did I do the right thing? But slowly, something shifts. As you release those who were only around for convenience, attention, or control, you create room for people who see you, not what you can do for them. True connection isn't loud or demanding. It's steady. It respects your boundaries, values your presence, and doesn't flinch when you say no. Seneca wrote, "Associate with those who make you better," and it's in this space that such people appear, not to fill a void, but to walk beside you. Not ahead, not behind. I once knew someone named Eric who gave endlessly to those who vanished the moment he needed support. When he stepped back, he feared isolation, but in that stillness, new voices entered, calmer, truer. Over time, his circle shrank, but his life deepened. Because when you stop being nice to the wrong people, you don't lose connection. You make space for the right ones to finally find you. Number 7, your energy shifts. One of the most powerful and liberating transformations that happens when you stop being overly nice to the wrong people isn't loud. It's quiet, subtle at first, but you feel it deeply. Your energy shifts when you spend your days pouring time, attention, and emotional effort into people who only take, those who dismiss your boundaries, manipulate your kindness, or vanish when you need them. You start to run on empty. You wake up tired, even if you've rested. You lose interest in what once lit you up. You feel disconnected from yourself, as if your life revolves around maintaining everyone else's comfort while slowly forgetting your own. But when you begin pulling back, when you stop over-giving, over-apologizing, and overextending, a shift begins. The fog lifts. You start waking up without the invisible weight of guilt, fear, and people-pleasing. And slowly, you begin returning to yourself. This is more than emotional relief. It's a reclaiming of power. Because, as the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "He who is not a slave to others' expectations is truly free." This shift is about freedom, the freedom to say no without guilt, to live without performing, to prioritize your own peace without asking for permission. When you stop living for validation, your energy no longer gets drained by the need to be liked. Instead, it flows into things that truly matter: your goals, your health, your inner clarity. Let me share a story. I once knew someone named Leah. She was everyone's go-to, always stepping up, always saying yes. On the surface, she seemed reliable, kind, strong, but beneath that was exhaustion, anxiety, a creeping sense of burnout she couldn't explain. Until one day, she decided to pause, not to push people away, but to finally include herself in the equation. She began saying no, calmly pulled back from one-sided connections, and gave herself permission to rest. And slowly, something beautiful happened. Her energy returned. She began moving her body, picking up hobbies she'd abandoned, sleeping deeply for the first time in years. She wasn't exhausted just from existing anymore, because when you stop being overly nice to the wrong people, you don't just protect your peace, you start to feel alive again. If this message spoke to something deep within you, consider giving it a like. It helps this insight reach others who might need it too. And if you'd like more reflections like this, feel free to subscribe. No pressure, just an open invitation to keep growing together. Drop a quick "no more pleasing" in the comments if today's message resonated with where you are right now. Remember, setting boundaries isn't the end of kindness, it's the beginning of self-respect. You're not walking away from others, you're walking back to yourself. In the next video, we'll explore how to stay grounded when others push back against your growth. Until then, take a breath, stand tall, and trust that protecting your peace is the most powerful gift you can give yourself. The age of the internet, where the world is at our fingertips and kindness is often championed as the ultimate virtue. But have you ever paused to consider the potential pitfalls of too much kindness? I know it sounds absurd, doesn't it? But bear with me, fellow Stoic, for there's a lesson from the ancients that we might have overlooked in our modern quest to be the kindest version of ourselves. You see, the Stoics, those wise old souls from ancient Greece and Rome, had a thing or two to say about the balance of virtues. Stay strong, they'd advise, but concentrate on virtue, and while generosity is undoubtedly a virtue, like all good things, it can be taken to an extreme. Over-generosity, my friends, can sometimes backfire in ways we least expect. Now, before you raise an eyebrow and think I've gone off the deep end, let's embark on a journey together. A journey where we'll explore 8 unexpected ways that an overflow of kindness might just trip us up. We'll dive deep into the teachings of Stoicism, drawing wisdom from the likes of Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. And as we do, I challenge you to reflect on your own acts of kindness. Are they always in balance? Or have you, like many of us, occasionally tipped the scales? If you're new here and this sounds like a journey you're eager to embark on, then give that notification bell a good old ring and subscribe. Go on, I dare you together. We'll navigate the intricate dance of virtue, finding the sweet spot between too little and too much. Fellow seekers of wisdom, stay with me as we dive into the unexpected pitfalls of overgenerosity, because sometimes the most profound lessons come from the most unexpected places. 1. Taking on too much. We've all been there. Haven't we? You're at a friend's gathering, and someone mentions they're moving house next weekend. Before you know it, your hand shoots up. Ill help, but deep down, you're already swamped with your own tasks. The Stoics believed in living in accordance with nature, which means understanding our own limits. Overcommitting isn't just about stretching yourself thin. It's about not being true to yourself. Imagine life as a teacup. Each commitment, each promise is a drop of tea. Pour in too much, and it overflows, making a mess. The Stoics would say, know the size of your cup. It's not about being unkind. It's about being kind to yourself first. Now, I'm not saying don't help your friend move, but maybe offer to help pack a few boxes instead of committing to the whole day. It's the little gestures that often mean the most, and they're much more manageable. Remember that time you promised to help at the school fair, attend a birthday party, and visit your grandma all in one day. By the end of it, you were probably exhausted, irritable, and not very present in any of the activities. That's the weight of overcommitment. So next time, pause before you promise. Reflect on your own capacity. It's not selfish, it's sensible. 2. Always trying to make everyone happy. The age-old desire to be liked by everyone. It's a trap many of us fall into. You say yes when you want to say no, laugh at jokes you don't find funny, and agree with opinions you don't share. But here's the thing. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control others' opinions. So why try? People-pleasing might seem like a form of kindness, but it's often more about our own insecurities. And let's be real, it's exhausting. You're constantly juggling masks, trying to be someone you're not. And for what? Temporary approval. I once knew a bloke named Tim. Lovely guy, but head bent over backwards just to get a nod of approval. One day he wore a shirt he didn't like because a friend gifted it to him. He spent the entire day feeling uncomfortable, all for the sake of not wanting to upset his friend. But here's the kicker. His friend didn't even notice. The Stoics believed in authenticity. Be true to yourself, and the right people will gravitate towards you. And those who don't, well, you can't please everyone, can you? 3. Thinking you can change people. There's a saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Stoicism echoes this sentiment. We can't control others, only our reactions to them. Yet many of us, with our big, kind hearts, try to fix people. We think our love, our advice, our kindness can change them. But often it can't. Think of that friend who always dates the wrong people. You've given advice, listened to their heartbreaks, and even set them up with someone lovely, yet they fall into the same patterns. It's frustrating, isn't it? But here's the thing, everyone is on their own journey, and while it's kind to offer a helping hand, we can't walk their path for them. The Stoics believed in focusing on our own actions and letting go of the need to control everything else. It's tough, especially when you care deeply, but sometimes the kindest thing you can do is step back and let people make their own choices, even if they're mistakes. 4. Letting others use you. Kindness is a beautiful thing, but like all good things, too much of it can be harmful. When we're constantly kind, always available, and perpetually agreeable, people might start taking it for granted. It's not always intentional, but it happens. Remember Lucy from The Office? She'd always bring in homemade treats. At first, everyone was grateful, But over time it became an expectation. The one day she didn't bring anything, there were murmurs of disappointment. Poor Lucy felt unappreciated and hurt. The Stoics teach us about the impermanence of things. Just as we shouldn't get too attached to external rewards, we shouldn't become too accustomed to constant acts of kindness from others. And on the flip side, if we're always the givers, we should ensure we're not being taken for granted. It's a balance, really. Be kind, but also set boundaries. Let people know that while your kindness is a gift, it's not an obligation. 5. Forgetting to care for yourself. In our quest to be kind to others, we often forget about ourselves. We put others' needs above our own, thinking it's the noble thing to do. But Stoicism reminds us of the importance of self-care. If we neglect ourselves, how can we be of any use to others? Imagine you're a car. If you don't refuel, how can you drive others around? You'll end up broken down on the side of the road. It's the same with constantly prioritizing others. Eventually, you'll burn out. I've seen it happen with my mate Alex. He'd always be there for everyone, always putting himself last, until one day he just snapped. He was tired, drained, and felt unappreciated. It wasn't pretty. So take time for yourself. It's not selfish, it's essential. The Stoics knew the importance of reflection and self-care. After all, a well-maintained soul is better equipped to handle the world's challenges. The fact that you've made it this far into the video shows you're committed to self-improvement. Stay with me until the end, as the last 3 insights are even more crucial. I'll see you at the finish. 6. Avoiding disagreements at all costs. Nobody likes conflict. It's uncomfortable, awkward, and just plain unpleasant. So, in our bid to be kind, we often avoid it. We let things slide, keep our opinions to ourselves, and swallow our feelings. But Stoicism teaches us that sometimes conflict is necessary. Avoiding conflict might seem kind in the short term, but it can lead to bigger issues down the road. Small annoyances fester into deep resentments. Unspoken feelings can lead to misunderstandings. Remember that time your flatmate kept leaving dirty dishes around. Instead of addressing it, you cleaned up after them, thinking it was the kind thing to do. But over time your annoyance grew, and one day you exploded over something trivial. The Stoics believed in facing challenges head-on. It's not about picking fights, but addressing issues before they become problems. It's kinder in the long run, both to yourself and to others. 7. Giving too much. Generosity is a virtue, but like all virtues, it can be taken to an extreme. In our bid to be kind, we sometimes give more than we can afford, whether it's time, money, or resources, and while the intention is noble, the outcome can be detrimental. Think of it this way: if you keep draining your bank account to help others, eventually you'll go bankrupt. And then, how can you help anyone? The Stoics believed in moderation. It's about finding the balance between giving and retaining. I once knew a woman, Sarah, who'd always lend money to friends. She wanted to help, and it felt good. But over time she found herself struggling financially, and when she needed help, those she'd assisted were nowhere to be found. It's a harsh lesson, but an important one. Be generous, but also be wise. Ensure your own needs are met before helping others. It's not about being stingy. It's about being sustainable. 8. Needing others' approval. The digital age has transformed the way we perceive and express kindness. While many share their good deeds online, it's essential to question our motivations. Are we acting out of genuine compassion, or are we seeking validation? Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This timeless wisdom reminds us that true virtue lies in our actions, not in the recognition they receive. Sharing our deeds can inspire others, but it's crucial to ensure our intentions remain pure. When kindness becomes a transaction, its authenticity wanes. The Stoics taught that instead of seeking external validation, we should focus on the intrinsic value of our actions. By doing good for its own sake, we embrace the true essence of virtue. Well, there we have it, the winding road of kindness, with its unexpected twists and turns. Who'd have thought, right, in our world of likes, shares, and endless scrolling, it's easy to forget the age-old wisdom of the Stoics. But as we've seen, their teachings are as relevant today as they were centuries ago. Now, fellow Stoics, as we stand at the crossroads of reflection and action, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever found yourself caught in the snare of excessive kindness? Your stories are the stars that light up this Stoic community, guiding and inspiring fellow travelers on the path of life. And hey, if you've enjoyed our little journey today, why not show some love? Hit that like button, subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell. You wouldn't want to miss out on our next video, would you? So, until next time, remember, be kind, be wise, and always be authentically you. To watch more Stoic wisdom videos, select one of the videos that will appear on your screen now. Cheerio! Have you ever sat in absolute silence? No phone, no distractions, no one to validate your existence, just you and your own thoughts. Does that idea unsettle you? We live in a world where silence is drowned out by notifications, where self-worth is measured by external approval. We chase recognition, bend under societal expectations, and fear the emptiness of solitude. But is a life dictated by others truly your own? The Stoics believed that true freedom comes not from wealth, status, or relationships, but from within. To live without fear of being alone is to master the art of self-sufficiency. It means understanding that you are already whole, that your peace does not depend on anyone else. Paradoxically, those who learn to stand alone also form the deepest connections, not out of need, but out of choice. They walk their own path, unshaken by judgment, free from the chains of dependence. So ask yourself, do you live for yourself? Or are you just a reflection of others' expectations? In this video, we'll explore how embracing solitude can lead to true strength, independence, and fulfillment. Stay with me because this might just change the way you see your life. 1. Self-control, the key to freedom. Most of us will never find ourselves behind bars, yet many live as prisoners, trapped not by walls, but by their own lack of self-control. When you cannot govern yourself, you become a puppet of emotions, circumstances, and the expectations of others. True freedom is not about escaping responsibility or severing all ties. It is about mastering yourself so that nothing external can dictate your inner state. Self-control is not merely the ability to suppress anger or resist temptation. It is the art of ruling your own mind. It means choosing your response instead of reacting impulsively, standing firm in your values despite pressure, and refusing to let praise or criticism define you. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." If your happiness rises and falls with others' opinions, if your identity shifts based on societal approval, then you are not living for yourself. You are living as a reflection of others. Living for yourself is not selfishness. It is clarity. It is knowing who you are, what you want, and walking that path with unwavering resolve. But when you rely too much on validation, you hand over control of your life. You become a prisoner to expectations, allowing fear of rejection to shape your decisions. A truly free person is one who knows when to say no, who protects their time, energy, and focus for what truly matters. Consider Vincent van Gogh, one of history's greatest painters. In his lifetime, he sold only a single painting. He was dismissed by society, rejected by family, and lived in near isolation. Yet he did not paint for approval. He painted because it was his truth. Despite suffering, poverty, and ridicule, he never abandoned his art. He did not conform to trends, but forged his own style, creating masterpieces like Starry Night and Sunflowers. Had he allowed the world's judgment to break him, we might never have known his genius. Van Gogh's life is proof that when you master yourself, you create without the need for permission. Self-control is not about rejecting others. It is about not needing them to define your worth. It is the foundation of inner peace, resilience, and true freedom. We cannot control the world, but we can always control our response. When someone criticizes you, you can react with anger or remain unfazed, knowing their words do not shape your reality. When faced with adversity, you can dwell in frustration or take action to change what you can. Every moment you have the power to choose. If you do not master yourself, others will. If you do not decide how to live, the world will decide for you. But remember, no one can truly control you unless you allow them to. And when you learn to govern yourself, you gain something no one can take away: absolute freedom. 2. Stop looking for external validation. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek approval. A simple drawing earns us a proud smile from our parents. A high test score brings praise from teachers. Accomplishments are met with applause, and that recognition fuels us to keep striving. This is natural. Humans thrive on connection. But what happens when we become dependent on it? If no one praises you, would you still feel worthy if there is no applause? Would you still believe in yourself? External validation is like fast food, quick, satisfying, but ultimately empty. It cannot sustain you. The moment the applause stops, you may feel lost, as if drifting without direction. A life dictated by the approval of others is not a life of freedom, but of servitude. Stoicism teaches that true fulfillment comes from within. Epictetus once said, "If you are ever tempted to look for outside approval, realize that you have compromised your own integrity. If you need a witness, be your own. Your worth is not something others grant you. It is something you realize within yourself." Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes in history, was once cut from his high school basketball team. He could have let that rejection define him, but he didn't. He kept training, kept pushing, proving that he didn't need validation to know his own worth. And neither do you. When you rely on others to feel good about yourself, you become vulnerable. lifted by praise, shattered by criticism. But when you can stand strong without anyone's approval, you become untouchable. This is not arrogance, it is self-mastery. The greatest recognition you will ever need is your own. Ask yourself, are you living in alignment with your values? Do you do what is right even when no one is watching? Do you respect yourself even in silence? When you stop seeking validation, a new kind of freedom emerges. You will no longer fear judgment. You will no longer feel empty in solitude because you will understand your worth has never been in the hands of others. It has always been yours. 3. Learn how to be alone. There is a truth few dare to accept. You do not need anyone else to feel complete. This is not a call to reject relationships, but a reminder that your worth is not defined by the presence or absence of others. Society often equates solitude with loneliness, making us believe that if we are not constantly surrounded by people, we are somehow lacking. But the truth is quite the opposite. Learning to be alone is one of the greatest strengths you can cultivate. To be alone is not to suffer isolation, but to embrace the rare opportunity to listen to yourself, to face your own thoughts without distraction, and to find contentment from within. Most people spend their lives running from silence, seeking external noise to drown out their own uncertainties. But those who master solitude master themselves. They no longer rely on validation, nor are they swayed by fleeting opinions. History's greatest minds understood this. Isaac Newton formulated the law of universal gravitation while in isolation during a plague. Albert Einstein spent hours lost in thought, contemplating the universe without interruption. Their brilliance was not shaped by the constant presence of others, but by the stillness that allowed them to think deeply without distraction. Imagine if Newton had spent his days chasing small talk instead of embracing solitude. Would he have ever noticed the falling apple? Now ask yourself, when you are alone, do you feel restless? Do you instinctively reach for your phone, searching for someone to talk to? Or can you sit in that space, unshaken, and look deeper within? When you stop fearing solitude, you begin to truly live. Loneliness is not a punishment. It is an invitation to grow, to learn, and to strengthen yourself in ways that constant company never allows. To be alone is also to be free. When you no longer depend on others for validation, you regain control over your own life. You stop chasing relationships just to fill an empty void. Ironically, the more self-sufficient you become, the more others are drawn to you. Confidence and independence are magnetic. But the greatest gift of solitude is this: even if no one stands beside you, you remain whole. So if you ever find yourself feeling lost because no one is around, remember, it is not emptiness, but an opportunity. Use that time to build a stronger, wiser, and more resilient version of yourself. Because when you can stand firm on your own, nothing can bring you down. What are your thoughts on solitude? Have you ever experienced a time when being alone helped you grow? Share your insights in the comments below. 4. Build your own values instead of following social standards. Success is not a universal formula. It is not something society can define for you. If you believe that success is measured by wealth, fame, or social approval, then you have unknowingly allowed the world to dictate your path. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, is success truly about achieving what others admire? Or is it about living a life that is meaningful to you? From a young age, we are taught to follow a predefined path, secure a stable job, earn a high salary, and gain the admiration of others. But have you ever stopped to question whether these things genuinely align with who you are, or are they merely expectations imposed upon you? Take Vera Wang as an example. She started as a figure skater, dreaming of Olympic success. When that dream ended, she turned to journalism, becoming a fashion editor. But at 40, she discovered her true passion, designing wedding dresses. Society might have told her it was too late to start over, yet she ignored those limitations and built one of the most prestigious bridal fashion brands in the world. Her story proves one thing: success has no deadline, as long as you dare to live by your own values. If you spend your life chasing external expectations, you will become a version of yourself molded by society, not the person you were meant to be. But the real tragedy is not the judgment of others. It is reaching the end of your life and realizing you never truly lived. That is why you must build your own values. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? What brings me fulfillment and freedom? These are not easy questions, but once you answer them, external standards will no longer have power over you. Here's a hard truth: when you start living according to your values, not everyone will support you. You will face criticism, misunderstandings, and even isolation. But remember, true strength comes from within, not from the approval of the crowd. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Building your own values means taking control of your thoughts instead of letting the world dictate them. It does not mean resisting everything society offers, but rather learning to be selective, choosing what helps you grow and letting go of what holds you back. And that is exactly what we will explore next: how to eliminate the things that hinder your growth. If this message resonates with you, stay with me until the end, because the path to true freedom begins here. And if you found value in this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue this journey together. 5. Eliminate things that inhibit your own development. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what is truly holding me back? Maybe it's a job you despise but feel trapped in, a relationship drained of trust, yet you still cling to it, or a silent fear that keeps you from stepping outside your comfort zone. We often believe that growth comes from adding more skills, opportunities, connections, but in reality, true growth often comes from elimination. Life is like a garden. It's not enough to water what thrives. We must also cut away what withers. Yet the hardest things to let go of are often the most familiar: stability, long-standing habits, even suffering we've learned to endure. We don't hold on because they serve us. We hold on because we fear the emptiness that may follow if we release them. But ask yourself, do you want comfort, or do you want growth? Henry Ford's story is a testament to this truth. His first 2 automobile companies failed, leaving him humiliated and broke. Many would have seen this as a sign to quit. But instead of clinging to outdated methods, Ford eliminated what wasn't working and embraced a new vision: affordable cars for the masses. That shift in mindset led to the creation of the Ford Model T, revolutionizing the automobile industry. His success didn't come from what he added, it came from what he let go of. So how do you know what to eliminate? Ask yourself one simple question: is this still helping me grow? If a relationship drains you more than it nurtures you, Is it worth keeping if a job crushes your spirit rather than inspiring you? Is it worth dedicating your life to if fear is keeping you paralyzed? Is it worth carrying with you forever? The greatest tragedy is not losing what we have. It's looking back years from now and realizing we never truly lived because we were too afraid to change. Growth never comes from absolute safety. It comes from those moments when we dare to let go, to move forward even when we cannot see the road ahead. So take a moment and reflect. Is there something in your life holding you back? If so, have the courage to release it, because only when you remove what no longer serves you can you create space for something greater. 6. Overcome the fear of being judged. Most people live in quiet captivity, haunted by a single question: what do others think of me? But here is a truth you must embrace. No matter what you do, people will always have opinions. Dress differently, you're eccentric. Follow your passion, you're unrealistic. Conform to expectations, you're just ordinary. The truth is, you can never please everyone, and the more you try, the further you stray from yourself. The fear of judgment is not just a fleeting emotion, it is a chain that binds you. It makes you hesitate, forces you into compromises, and worst of all, prevents you from being who you truly are. Imagine having a dream that sets your soul on fire, but instead of pursuing it, you let the fear of ridicule hold you back. You want to change your path but hesitate, worrying about whispers behind your back. If you let this fear dictate your life, you will wake up one day drowning in regret. But when you dare to step beyond this fear, you unlock something extraordinary: freedom. You will no longer be shackled by others' opinions because you will understand a profound truth. Their judgments do not define your worth. You will live as you choose, pursue what you love, and walk your own path without looking over your shoulder. History does not remember those who stayed silent out of fear. It remembers those who had the courage to stand apart. Vincent van Gogh was mocked, dismissed, and died in poverty, unrecognized for his genius. Had he painted for approval, he might have abandoned his art, but he didn't. He painted because it was his truth today. His works are priceless. While those who ridiculed him are long forgotten, his story is proof that opinions are temporary, but what you create, what you believe in, can last forever. If you let the fear of judgment control you, you will always live within the boundaries others set. But if you dare to break free, you will finally experience what it means to truly live. So ask yourself, will you spend your life conforming, or will you have the courage to be yourself? That is the real question. And in the next part, we'll take it even further. 7th, dare to truly live and choose according to your heart. Life moves forward relentlessly. Seconds turn into minutes, minutes into hours, hours into days. Time does not wait, no matter how much we wish it would. The real question is, am I truly living, or is life simply passing me by? Look at today. What have you done differently from yesterday? We wake up, go to work, come home, sleep, and repeat. Days blur into weeks, weeks into months. Will tomorrow be any different? Or will it be another day lived on autopilot? If you do not take control of your life, society will dictate it for you. Now is the time to choose how you truly want to live. But being true to yourself is not easy. From childhood, we are taught to fit in, to behave in ways that gain approval, to follow paths chosen for us. Study this subject, get that job, live as expected, but at some point, we must stop and ask, is this my life, or am I simply fulfilling the expectations of others? To be true to yourself does not mean rebellion, it means listening to your own voice, understanding your values, and having the courage to follow them. When you dare to walk your own path, you do not just free yourself from invisible chains, you open the door to the right people and opportunities. Take Lady Gaga, for example. She was not an overnight success. When she first entered the music industry, she was rejected, ridiculed, and told she was too different to make it. Record labels claimed she did not fit the mold of a pop star. But instead of conforming, she doubled down on who she was. She wore bold outfits, experimented with music, and performed with fearless passion. She was not afraid of being misunderstood because she knew only authenticity could make her truly shine. And she was right. Not only did she achieve global success, but she built a devoted community, not because she tried to please everyone, but because she had the courage to be herself. One of the biggest mistakes we make is trying to be liked by everyone. But here is the truth. No matter how hard you try, there will always be people who misunderstand, criticize, or dislike you. And that is not your burden to carry. The right people will stay, the wrong ones will leave. And that is perfectly okay. You were not born to be a copy of someone else. You were not meant to live by the standards of others. Stoicism teaches that while we cannot control people's opinions, we can control how we live. So ask yourself, if you weren't afraid of being judged, what would you do if you weren't afraid of failure? What path would you take? That is your answer. That is the life you are meant to live. You have only one life. Will you let it pass by without truly living, or will you dare to be yourself? The choice is yours. 8. Learn how to forgive and move forward. Some wounds are invisible to the eye, yet they linger deep within us. Anger, resentment, and past hurts weigh us down, chaining us to moments that can never be changed. But is it worth it? Is it worth carrying this burden into the future, allowing it to darken new opportunities? Forgiveness is not a gift we give to others. It is a liberation we grant ourselves. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This is not just ethical wisdom, but a profound truth about inner freedom. When we allow hatred to consume us, we are unknowingly handing power over our emotions and actions to those who hurt us. But when we let go, we claim our control. Imagine holding a burning coal, intending to throw it at your enemy. Who gets burned first? You do. Hatred works the same way. It consumes our peace, clarity, and even the simple joys of life. Just a single bitter thought can imprison us in suffering. But forgiveness is the key that unlocks that prison. To forgive does not mean to forget, nor does it mean allowing others to continue harming us. It is not a sign of weakness, but of immense strength. It is the conscious choice to let go of resentment so that we can move forward, rather than letting the past dictate our future. History is filled with those who chose forgiveness over vengeance, and in doing so, transformed the world. Mahatma Gandhi was imprisoned, beaten, and watched his people suffer under oppression. Yet he did not choose violence or revenge. He led a movement of non-violent resistance, enduring years of struggle until India gained independence. Had he let hatred cloud his judgment, history may have unfolded very differently. His story is proof that forgiveness is not about forgetting. It is about choosing a wiser response. There will always be people who hurt us. That is beyond our control. But what is within our control is how we respond. Stoic philosophy teaches us that peace is found within, not through seeking revenge or external justice. Forgiveness is not about excusing others. It is about freeing ourselves. When we let go of hatred, we lose nothing. In fact, we gain everything: our peace, our clarity, and our freedom. If you are still holding on to resentment today, ask yourself, is this worth sacrificing my peace? Could this energy be used to build a better life? Instead of drowning in old emotions, forgiveness is not easy. But once you embrace it, you will realize that it is not just an act of kindness. It is a priceless gift you give to yourself. So, after everything we've explored, what do you think is true freedom found in living for yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments with I Choose Me. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future insights that challenge the way you see life. And if someone you know needs to hear this, share it with them. Your journey to self-mastery has only just begun. In the next video, we'll uncover even deeper truths about living with strength, purpose, and independence. See you there. There's a hidden battle happening around us every single day. It's not loud, it doesn't announce itself, and worst of all, it often comes from the people we trust the most. Friends, family, people we love. It starts small, an offhand comment that lingers in your mind a little too long, a conversation that leaves you feeling uneasy, a relationship that slowly, subtly drains you of your peace. Before you even realize it, your confidence slips, your thoughts start shifting, and your emotions begin reacting to forces you can't even see. And that's the scary part. Most people don't see it until it's too late. This is why the Stoics believe that true wisdom begins with awareness, with seeing things as they really are, not just how they appear on the surface. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." That means the people around you, the conversations you allow, the energies you entertain, they shape you in ways you don't even realize. And if you're not careful, if you don't train yourself to recognize when something is pulling you off track, you won't notice until you've already become someone you never intended to be. But here's the good news. Once you start recognizing these influences, you take back your power. You regain control over your thoughts, your emotions, and most importantly, your peace. That's exactly what we're diving into today. How to recognize the subtle, hidden forces that might be working against you, even when they come in the form of a friend, a family member, or someone you trust. And trust me, once you learn to see it, you can never unsee it. So stick with me here, because every single part of this video connects, and missing even one piece could mean missing the exact insight you need right now. Let's get into it. Some of the biggest forces shaping your life aren't the ones you see. They're the ones working in the background, subtle, quiet, almost invisible. It's the words people repeat around you, the energy they bring into your space, the attitudes they carry. Influence doesn't always announce itself. It slips in slowly until one day you wake up feeling different, thinking differently, and you're not even sure why. The Stoics knew that the world is full of distractions, opinions, and external forces trying to pull you in every direction. That's why they focused so much on guarding the mind. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to be careful of what he absorbed, to filter out anything that didn't align with reason and virtue. He understood that we become what we allow to shape us. If you're surrounded by negativity, doubt, and fear, you start to internalize it. If you spend enough time with people who see limits instead of possibilities, you start seeing them too. Most people don't realize this is happening. They think their thoughts are entirely their own, but they're not. Every conversation, every repeated phrase, every interaction leaves a mark. A friend who constantly complains, you start feeling heavier, even if you weren't upset before. A family member who always highlights the worst-case scenario, you start second-guessing your decisions. A colleague who subtly undermines you, their words sit in the back of your mind, making you doubt your abilities, even when there's no real reason to. Epictetus taught that we must be ruthless in protecting our inner world. He said, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. The same goes for influence. If you're not careful, you let the wrong voices dictate your mindset, your confidence, even your sense of purpose. And the danger isn't just in obvious negativity. Sometimes influence comes in the form of passive discouragement. People who don't directly attack your dreams, but who never fully support them either. The ones who say, that's great, but, or I just don't want to see you get hurt. They sound caring, but what they're really doing is planting doubt. True awareness means paying attention. It means stepping back and asking yourself, where did this thought come from? Is this belief mine, or did I inherit it from someone else? Because once you see where your influences are coming from, you get to decide what stays and what goes. And that's where real strength begins. So, how do you know when that's happening? It's not always obvious. If it were, you'd shut it down immediately. But these influences tend to be slow, sneaky, and gradual. It starts with small things, offhand comments, repeated criticisms disguised as concern, a constant undercurrent of negativity that makes it feel like the world is always against you. Think about your relationships. Do you have people in your life who always highlight problems, but never solutions, who make everything feel heavier, as if life is just one endless struggle? Seneca warned against this kind of influence, saying that we should be careful not to sink under the weight of others' burdens. There's a difference between supporting someone and being dragged into their storm. Some people aren't looking for a way out of their negativity, they just want company in their misery. Then there are the manipulators. They're not always obvious. They don't control you outright. Instead, they plant small doubts. They make you question your instincts, your decisions, your own judgment. You say something with confidence, and they respond with, "Are you sure about that?" Or, "I don't know, I heard that's really risky." Harmless at first. Right, but when you hear it enough, it starts to sink in. Slowly, you start deferring to them, doubting yourself, second-guessing things you once knew to be true. And let's talk about jealousy disguised as support. Ever share good news with someone only to be met with a forced smile and a half-hearted, "That's great, I guess," or maybe they instantly shift the conversation back to themselves, making your moment of joy feel like it never even happened? That's not just an oversight, it's a pattern. The Stoics believe that the company you keep should be one that sharpens you, strengthens you, and reinforces your values. If someone consistently downplays your successes or subtly discourages you from pursuing growth, that's an influence you need to evaluate. There's also the constant victim, the person who always has a problem, always blames others, and never takes responsibility. They feed on your sympathy, pulling you into their chaos, making you feel guilty if you don't get involved. But as Epictetus reminds us, you become what you give your attention to. If all your energy is spent absorbing someone else's drama, how much do you have left for your own purpose? And finally, pay attention to your body. Sometimes before your mind catches on, your body will tell you everything you need to know. Do you feel tense around certain people? Do you catch yourself sighing the moment you see their name pop up on your phone? Do you feel lighter, freer, more at peace when they're not around? That's not just stress. That's your body signaling you that something isn't right. The Stoics taught that wisdom isn't just about intellectual reasoning. It's about listening, observing, and responding wisely. Ever wonder why certain thoughts, emotions, or behaviors seem to stick with you? Even when you know they're not serving you, you try to shake them off, but they linger, shaping the way you see yourself, the way you react, the way you move through life. That's not by accident. That's influence at work. And the strongest influences aren't always the loudest. They're the ones that slip in unnoticed, settling in your mind and subtly shifting the course of your decisions before you even realize it. The Stoics were obsessed with this idea, understanding how external forces shape us, and more importantly, how to guard against them. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to filter the thoughts he allowed into his mind, knowing that the world around him would always try to impose its values, its fears, its distractions onto him. And let's be honest, most people don't even realize they're being influenced. They move through life on autopilot, absorbing whatever energy surrounds them, reacting instead of choosing, drifting instead of directing. A lot of these influences start early, the way your parents spoke to you, the kind of household you grew up in, the attitudes you were exposed to. Without even realizing it, you might be carrying beliefs that aren't yours, beliefs about success, about relationships, about what's possible for you. Maybe you grew up around constant scarcity, and now no matter how much you achieve, there's still a quiet fear in the back of your mind that it could all disappear. Maybe you were surrounded by criticism, and now, even in moments of confidence, you feel the need to prove yourself. And it doesn't stop in childhood. Every conversation you have, every social circle you're a part of, every piece of content you consume, it's all shaping you in some way. Some people knowingly or unknowingly push their limitations onto you. They don't do it with malice. They do it because it's all they know. They see risk where you see opportunity. They see obstacles where you see potential. And if you're not careful, you start seeing through their eyes instead of your own. Seneca had a simple but powerful rule. Be mindful of what you allow to shape you. He knew that you don't rise above the people you surround yourself with. You either grow with them, or you shrink to fit them. Some influences sharpen you, some weaken you, some make you more of yourself, some make you someone you never intended to be. And the real challenge, recognizing the difference before it's too late. That's why awareness is everything. The second you start questioning why you think the way you do, why you react a certain way, why you believe what you believe, you gain power. You start filtering out the noise, keeping what serves you and discarding what doesn't. And that's when real clarity begins. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every influence deserves your attention. The moment you realize this, life becomes a lot clearer. There will always be negativity, manipulation, and subtle attempts to steer you off course. But what the Stoics knew, and what most people overlook, is that your power isn't in controlling others. It's in controlling yourself. You decide what gets in. You decide what shapes you. And once you start filtering out the noise, you stop being so easily moved. Marcus Aurelius had a habit of reminding himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That applies to everything: conversations, conflicts, relationships. The question isn't, why is this person acting this way? It's, how do I choose to respond? Because influence only works if you allow it. Someone can try to plant doubt, but you don't have to water it. Someone can try to stir up anger, but you don't have to give it a home. So what do you do when you recognize an unhealthy influence? First, pause. Don't react emotionally. The moment you get pulled into their energy, you've already lost. Observe, listen, let them reveal themselves. Epictetus used to say that the first sign of wisdom is the ability to delay reaction. Because when you pause, you get clarity. You see patterns instead of isolated incidents. You recognize when someone is speaking from their own fears, not from truth, and that clarity is everything. Next, set boundaries. Not everything deserves a response. Not every person deserves full access to you. Seneca warned about spending too much time with those who drain your spirit, saying that the wise person is careful with their time, because it is the one resource they can never get back. That means learning to say no, not with anger, not with resentment, but with quiet confidence. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to explain yourself. Just step back and protect your peace. And finally, strengthen yourself. The more solid you are in your values, the less others can shake you. The more you invest in wisdom, the less you'll be misled. The Stoics didn't just focus on avoiding bad influences. They focused on becoming so strong internally that nothing external could control them. That's where real power is. It's not about avoiding every negative person. It's about being so anchored in who you are that nothing, not words, not opinions, not outside forces, can move you from your path. There's a moment in every interaction where you feel it, that split-second realization that something isn't right. Maybe it's the way someone downplays your excitement over something important to you. Maybe it's the subtle shift in their tone when you mention a new opportunity. Or maybe it's the way you always feel unsettled after spending time with them, like a weight you can't quite explain. That feeling, that's discernment knocking. The question is, are you paying attention? The Stoics taught that clarity isn't about seeing more, it's about seeing correctly. Marcus Aurelius constantly trained himself to look beyond the surface, reminding himself that people's words and actions often reveal more about them than anything else. So when someone speaks, listen not just to what they say, but to what's underneath. Does their encouragement feel genuine? Or is there hesitation? Are they happy for you? Or just tolerating your success? Some people won't criticize you outright, but they'll disguise their doubts as concern. Are you sure you can handle that? That seems like a lot of pressure. These comments seem harmless at first, but over time they chip away at your confidence. Then there are the ones who always steer conversations toward conflict. You start with a simple topic, but somehow they turn it into an argument or a debate, not because they're seeking truth, but because they thrive in chaos. Seneca warned about these types, saying that some people don't want peace. They want reaction. They want to pull you into their storm because they can't handle the stillness of your presence. Recognizing this is key. If every interaction with someone leaves you feeling drained, anxious, or defensive, that's not just their personality, that's a pattern. And what about the ones who seem to support you, but only to a point? They celebrate your wins as long as your success doesn't surpass theirs. They encourage growth, but only in ways that keep you at their level. You share a new goal, and instead of pushing you forward, they remind you of past failures, of risks, of why it might not work. Not because they want to protect you, but because your growth forces them to confront their own stagnation. Epictetus put it simply: if you desire to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Not everyone will understand your path. Not everyone will celebrate it, and that's fine. What matters is whether you allow their fears to dictate your steps. Discernment isn't about labeling people as good or bad. It's about recognizing who influences you and how. The wrong influence can make you doubt what you once believed. The right influence can remind you of your own strength. The Stoics didn't waste time trying to change others. They focused on seeing people as they are and choosing wisely. Once you recognize the patterns, the next step is clear. Either limit their influence or reinforce your own mindset so strongly that nothing they say can shake it. Strength isn't about fighting every battle. It's about knowing which ones to walk away from. When it comes to protecting your peace, the real work isn't in changing others. It's in strengthening yourself so that no outside force can pull you off course. The Stoics didn't believe in isolation, but they did believe in boundaries. They understood that the mind, like a fortress, needs walls, not to keep the world out, but to control what gets in. The first step is awareness. If you don't know who or what is influencing you, you can't protect yourself from it. Pay attention to patterns. Notice how you feel after spending time with certain people. Do you leave feeling lighter, clearer, more focused? Or do you feel anxious, uncertain, drained? Marcus Aurelius made it a habit to examine his thoughts daily, filtering out anything that didn't serve his higher purpose. That's the level of discipline required. You don't just let any ideas settle in your mind. You evaluate it. You decide if it's worth keeping. Next, set limits, not out of anger, but out of wisdom. Not every conversation needs your engagement. Not every opinion needs a response. Seneca put it simply: associate with those who will make a better man of you. That doesn't mean cutting people off at the first sign of negativity, but it does mean being intentional about where you place your energy. If someone constantly drains you, it's not selfish to take a step back. It's survival. Then strengthen your internal world. If your mind isn't anchored, every passing influence will sway you. Stoicism teaches that true power comes from self-mastery. That means developing habits that reinforce your clarity, reading, journaling, practicing stillness. Epictetus reminded his students that the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. The more you rely on external validation, the easier it is for others to manipulate you. But when you build a solid foundation within yourself, the opinions, doubts, and negativity of others lose their grip. And finally, choose your influences wisely. You can't always avoid negativity, but you can counterbalance it. Surround yourself with people who sharpen your mind, who challenge you to grow, who remind you of who you are when you forget. The company you keep either pulls you backward or pushes you forward. The choice is always yours. You don't rise alone. No one does. The people around you either lift you up, keep you stagnant, or slowly drag you down. And the hard truth is, most people never take the time to assess who's in their corner. They assume friendships, relationships, and social circles are just things that happen, when in reality, they shape everything: your mindset, your energy, your ambition. The Stoics understood this well. They knew that the quality of your life is directly tied to the quality of the company you keep. Seneca had a rule: surround yourself with those who elevate you, not those who weaken you. That doesn't mean looking for perfect people. It means looking for people who challenge you in the right way, who call you out when you're slipping, but never from a place of envy or control, who celebrate your wins, not with forced smiles but with genuine pride, who push you to be better, not by criticizing but by leading by example. You've probably felt the difference before. When you're around the right people, something shifts. Conversations feel lighter but also deeper. You leave feeling more like yourself, not less. There's no competition, insubaltando. No need to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. No undercurrent of jealousy disguised as concern. These relationships sharpen you. They remind you of what you're capable of. Epictetus said it best: the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. But here's where people get stuck. They're afraid to let go of relationships that no longer serve them. They hold on to friendships out of habit, out of history, out of guilt. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us, it is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live. If certain connections are keeping you from living fully, from growing, from becoming who you're meant to be, then holding on to them isn't loyalty, it's self-betrayal. The people in your life should add to it, not just exist in it. Building a strong circle isn't about cutting people off with anger or resentment. It's about choosing wisely. Seek out those who value wisdom, who live with discipline, who strive to be better. Pay attention to how people speak. Do they complain more than they create? Do they inspire action? Or do they reinforce fear? You don't need a crowd. You just need the right few. And once you find them, you'll realize just how much of your energy was being spent in the wrong places. Most people drift through life without ever questioning who and what is shaping them. They wonder why they feel drained, why their confidence wavers, why their vision for the future seems to shrink over time. But the truth is, everything you allow into your life, every conversation, every relationship, every belief you adopt without thinking, is either sharpening you or dulling you. And if you don't take control of that process, someone else will. The Stoics weren't concerned with controlling the world. They were concerned with controlling themselves, their thoughts, their responses, their inner world. That's where true freedom lies. You can't stop people from being negative. You can't force others to see your potential, but you can choose what influences you. You can choose who gets access to your energy, your time, your mind, and that choice is everything. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that life is too short to be wasted on things that don't serve the soul. If someone's presence leaves you feeling small, if their words chip away at your peace, if their energy distracts rather than strengthens you, owe it to yourself to step back. This isn't about resentment, it's about wisdom. You are responsible for protecting your own mind. No one else will do it for you. And here's the best part. Once you start making better choices, once you start aligning yourself with people who bring out the best in you, once you learn to guard your thoughts like a fortress, everything changes. Your confidence, your focus, your ability to move through life with clarity and purpose, it all gets sharper. You stop being easily swayed by opinions. You stop seeking validation from those who don't understand your path. And most importantly, you step into the kind of person you were always meant to be. The question is, what are you going to do now? Are you going to let the wrong influences keep shaping you? Or are you going to start choosing your circle, your thoughts, your direction with intention? The choice is yours. If you found value in this, there's another video on the screen that takes these ideas even deeper. I'll see you there, and as always, thank you for being a part of Stoic Journal.